Robin, have you taken BG's job? You're in the car.
Yep. Yep. One of those days.
Got it. So, all right, before we start, I want to open it up and just kind of hear from all of you. Where are you today from where you started in your team building journey? Kathy.
Well, I started a team about 4 years.
Not when you started,
Oh.
I mean, from when we started going through these sessions.
Oh. Okay. So I haven't done anything with it yet because I just built my team up before I started this coaching with you. So I think I'm getting a lot of good takeaways for, when I want to continue adding agents or replacing agents and things like that. But yeah, great information for sure.
There are definitely things so are you putting a pause essentially on your team right now? Like
I guess I am at the moment just because I'm working hard to get these current agents going. But I don't expect to pause it for a long time. Probably just for the next month or two.
So my suggestion is go back, do the value proposition work, and do them as two like perpendicular lines. Gary,
Yes.
where are you guys?
Shirag, good morning. How you doing?
Good.
Good. I actually just got back from a long trip, but John and I've been, getting on these calls. One, thank you so much for all this information. John is my business partner. Our head has been spinning in a good way. We're going to be hitting a lot of these things that you've been covering. In fact, I know John just used what we've been learning here as far as recruiting another team member. So I don't even know where to start. There's like 10 things we have to do from these calls that we're going to sit down over the next few weeks and just put pen to paper and start implementing.
Got it. So take those things, prioritize them, right? Can I give you guys use ChatGPT?
Oh yeah.
So you're going to go into ChatGPT, right? And say, these are the 10 things I want to implement in my business. Now ask me questions one by one till you're confident in ordering these in most important to least important. Make sense?
Perfect. Yep, absolutely.
All right, John.
Well, I'll just summarize it. Stealing a line from Fear and Loathing while leaving Las Vegas. I'm on a hellishly introspective trip, going through kind of where we're at in implementing what you're talking about. I already started working on some of that stuff, but Gary and I'll get our heads together and put pen to paper and get this formalized.
Got it. Perfect. Yvette.
So, with me, like I'm a two-team member, so I'm trying to see how to grow it, how to implement, what I've learned here, definitely. And just, it's putting, like several people have said, putting, pen to paper, thinking of what it is exactly that I want our team to become and grow into, and just finding ways to implement that, definitely. Yeah.
Nice. Well, look, here's what I want to get to. And Nelson and Robin, you guys just want to chime in, and I'll give you all some marching orders. Kathy, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you short before. And we'll get rocking with the interview process, right? That's what we're going to go through today. Nelson, what's Nelson and Robin? I'm interested to see your response as I work with you guys outside here. What has been your learning through this journey over the last 7 weeks?
Well, I'll speak first. I mean, it's been immense. I mean, obviously, we're doing so much. We're as a team really going through a lot of, foundational changes and reassessing and growth. And it's been very frustrating, eye-opening, enlightening, wonderful, all at the same time. And anyway, it's been exactly, I've told you before, Shirag, in the back end, it's been exactly what I personally, and I think we as a team needed at the right time. So no specifics, but all of it.
Great. Robin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just it's encouraged some conversations that needed to happen. So that's what's been good is that we've just been able to talk a lot more about what we're expecting and what we want out of the team, and that's been super helpful. So coming up with, what we're offering our agents and what we're how we're gonna move forward with what we have and try and add on in the future. It's just been really valuable.
So I share that with you all because I just want you to hear where everyone is so no one feels right. Like in our heads, in our businesses, we can always feel like we're behind. We could always feel like we didn't do enough. And look, it's a process. This is an event. But the most important part, and I'm gonna go back to Kathy here, is as you're doing and hearing things you want, put time in your calendar and implement them. Doesn't mean you have to use them today, right? So what ends up happening is, all right, when I have the opportunity, I'm going to do the work. But that's not how life works, right? Like when you get the opportunity, you want to be ready, right? So, it's like somebody that plays the bench for basketball, right? You need to be ready when they call you, right? Because you don't know when you're going to Eric Thomas said this. It's like you have to take advantage of the opportunity in the lifetime of the opportunity, right? So there's a lifetime for every opportunity, and that's what we need to take advantage of. I remember when our business was growing so fast, and my mom asked me, she goes, "Why can't you just stop and be happy?" I said, "I am happy, right?" But I said, "Mom, I have to take advantage of the opportunity within the lifetime of the opportunity, right?" I go, "These things that people are offering me aren't going to be here forever. And if I don't go, somebody else is going to go." Right. And that's the nature of life. So look, give yourself a break. It's you guys are all growing, and growing just like in the gym comes with friction and pain. Right. And it's our ability to think through that and just be consistent. Right. If there's one thing I've learned in real estate, that consistency outdoes everything, right? You could be the smartest person with the best contacts and everything else, and somebody could be starting brand new and they could be more consistent than you are. In time, they're going to be better. Robert's been consistent with the same message, and he's outdone every person in the industry, right? Do you know how many companies have spent tens of millions or hundreds of millions of dollars trying to take down Zillow? You know why they're making all these changes? Does anyone know why?
Because $1 billion is at stake, billions of dollars are at stake.
Yeah, that's a trigger, but in the end, this is the only card in their deck that they have left to play.
Yeah.
That's it, right? Because who's here in 2019? Half of us. Okay, most of us, right? So Compass Private Exclusive is really Compass Coming Soon, right? This was coming soon in 2019, right? And the message back then, it was the greatest message ever. What most people still don't realize is in the majority of the top 20 metro markets, New York, LA, Washington, DC, Boston, we have close to or above 20% market share, right? So in any of those markets, if 20% of inventory was available on our website first, hey, if you're not on compass.com, you're missing 20% of the market. I remember that clear as day when Robert said it the first time. I'm like, this guy's a genius. Now think about how Zillow works, right? They make money selling ads on listings. They also sell back leads at a 40% premium. All their money comes from their Flex program today, right? They shifted the model, right? And so if they have this many less listings, their revenue is going to go down. Their web traffic is going to go down. Their value proposition goes down, right? But it's that consistency, right? So if you take that same Robert Refkin approach, like sometimes even in my chat GPT, I'm like, what would Robert Refkin do? And it gives you an interesting answer, right?
Really?
Yeah. And I'm going to say, ask me 10 questions about Robert Refkin, the things that I admire most, so you can learn how he thinks from my perspective, plus what you see. And I will be coming back and saying, what will Robert Refkin do? You can say, what would Steve Jobs do? Or how would Steve Jobs launch this product, right? These are all things that are available. All right, let's get into, oops. Let's get into a presentation. All right, mastering the interview process. So a variety of things that we will cover, from aligning your value proposition, setting up the recruiting process, identifying red flags, ensuring value alignment, communicating next steps, and obviously Q&A. So look, we all know the benefits of this. And I think if some of us have hired the wrong people, you'll know how important it is, identifying the right candidates to your value proposition, how it saves time and improve profitability. Listen, you need agents that understand you need to make money, right? Like, I will go into meetings and talk to people and like be really generous. And I'm waiting to see if they ask, well, Shrug, what's in this for you? And if not, it's a one-way street. So it's a dead end, not a two-way road, right? And you also want to make sure you have a vision, values, goals, and culture. Bad culture fits are the worst thing that you could have for your team. It doesn't matter how much money they have. And a structured recruiting process filters out all the bad people early. You do not meet with every person that says, hey, I'm thinking of joining your team, Sharad. No, there has to be a vetting process, right? So we'll give you an application template. You can customize the application template and you can be clear what you want the outcome to be from the information shared, right? So let's get into the crux of it. So you'll have an operations. How many people have an assistant or an operations person? Is there anyone here that does not? Yvette, okay. Make up a dummy account, call her John, Jill, Jack, Joe, and use that account to send these emails out. Right? Even if you're calendaring things for yourself, adding in my assistant, John, and then have that email respond, right? One, it creates a elevated brand experience, right? Like the person thinks they're getting more. It creates a natural separation between you and the client, so they're not calling for everything. And then ultimately, if somebody has to tell them that they don't filter, they don't meet the things, let John send that email. People still need to like you.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then I got this advice from a coach. This is not something I made up. Right? They're like, I was like, I can't afford an assistant. They're like, well, just make an email that has one. I'm like, well, why would I want to do that? And I shared with you the exact reasons. User email templates and forms for consistency. Right? So when somebody submits an application, you need to tell them, I will respond to you back in this amount of time. Right? Now, we talked about ideal candidate profiles, right? I can talk about Nelson and Robin because I know their business really well, right? The ideal sweet spot for their team is somebody in their market that's doing between $5 to $7 million a year, wants to be part of a community, likes supporting and mentoring others, is part of giving back, wants to be part of something bigger, both in work every day and supporting and giving back to others where they live. They're the kind of person that want the resource of having an assistant and paid services from the team, structured mentorship, coaching, but doesn't want to do it on their own or doesn't want to incur all that risk. That's a great person for that, right? But now based on that, we need to be able to identify the red flags early. Right, so it's funny, our friend in Colorado who's always like, I want the interview questions is the one session she wasn't on, Debbie. So avoid candidates, right? These are 4 huge red flags, right? And these can all be questions. Delay delivering bad news. If you just found out that an entire deal blew up and it was your fault, what would you do, right? Would you think about it? Would you tell the client, right? The people that delay that bad news, out. Are indifferent to miss deadlines, right? Now, here's the thing. I learned this from another seminar I had gone to. You want to ask people, has there ever been a time that something was supposed to get done and it didn't happen? Every person's going to say yes. Can you ever say yes that didn't happen? Have you ever, Kathy, Gary, John, Robin, has there ever been a time that something was supposed to get done, but it didn't?
Yeah.
Not in a contract, but but in life, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So how did you feel in that moment?
Felt like a failure.
Failure, Robin?
Yeah, it's my deadlines are my bread and butter. So it's a huge disappointment when they're missed. Yeah.
Yep. Gary?
First thing I ask is why did we miss the deadline?
Yeah. But how did you feel?
Well, not good, because now I got more work to do.
Yvette?
Yeah, and it's kind of overwhelming, like, because you feel like you're constantly playing catch up, so it kind of adds to the stress level
So ready?
when it
All right. Now,
happens.
how did you feel specifically about that one thing not getting done and you knew it had to? You feel happy, sad, indifferent, like whatever, like things happen, like how'd you feel?
I get pissed, but that's just me.
Okay. Nelson?
Yeah, it's low hanging fruit. I get pissed.
So anger is also a different form of guilt, right? You want people that have guilt. Anyone that answers this question, right? That is like, yeah, well, things happen sometimes and this and this and that. No, you want to hire people that have guilt, like literally guilt. Like those are the best employees in the world. Also, depending on like your level of structure, right? I was asked, this is one of the newest ones my business coach said, go ask somebody this. Be like, when you were a kid and you had to get something, did somebody do it for you? Did someone talk to you? Do you have to figure it out on your own? They're like, children that have had to figure things out on their own constantly make great employees because they will find the solution without waiting for somebody to give it to them. Right? I teach my kids this all the time, right? And my partner, she's way better at this than I am, right? Like our kids they're, let's see, 9 and 11, but they know to wake up every morning. They know they have a job. They each have jobs in the house. They each know they get paid $10. They take turns washing dishes. Like they have my daughter has like a little bracelet business. My son has and she has little plastic bags and thank you notes. And like, when they're just like, oh, I didn't know what to do. I'm like, well, why didn't you ask me? Why are you just sitting around waiting? Like, that's not acceptable, right? Like, you knew you had this, and this, and this is how you need you to think about it. Like, okay, daddy, I got it, right? But there are people that just wait. Why didn't you do it? I was waiting for you to get back to me. Well, that doesn't work in a fast-paced work environment, right? And ultimately, they want extreme levels of independence. Nelson, I want to work on your team, but it's really important to me. I have my own personal brand. See you later. Bye. Unless you have a brokerage model, right? And aren't aligned with your team offerings. You'll see part of the value proposition questionnaire is here are the things that we offer. Which ones are most important to you? And if they're not picking at least 3 of the things that are really important to you, they're never going to get the value. They'll complain about their split all the time. So,
Sharab, do you on this topic with, whatever that one said about independence, a strong feeling of independence, do you recommend that we send out a DISC personality profile?
I believe a Med C will give you better information.
Let's see. Okay.
What's motivating you to join a team? What are you most excited about happening directly to join a team? What are your expectations of the team? What are your expectations around mentorship? What are your expectations about communication and personal needs? What past disappointments you had? What concerns do you have? And ultimately, what do you envision a team doing for you that you feel you can't do on your own? You have all the information you need.
Okay, because I had another coach tell me that if anybody comes in at a high D on a DISC profile, that you don't want them.
Well, that's not true. I would score like as a high D. I'm a collaborative D, but I work well on a team.
Okay.
Be given clear to like independence shows up in different ways, right? I'm independent. Like when I worked at Compass, Rory was my manager, right? So I'll share a quick story with you guys. So I created Pitch and Compass. That was the first thing I created I was at the company less than 3 months. I built the national standard on how people sell Compass to consumers. It went nationwide. I built this retreat presentation. It was the most attended session. People loved it. So when that thing was done, he goes, what do you want to do? You could figure out anything you want to do at your company. It's like kind of like name your price, right? Like you did. And I said, can I ask you a question? He goes, yeah, sure. I go, well, what are your goals? And he goes, search, coming soon, and concierge. I go, well, I'm not talking about search because it's broken here. So that's out. I said, I'll do concierge and coming soon. And he goes, well, what about what you want to do? I go, your goals are my goals. He goes, so I was like, but I do have some asks. I was like, I need you to tell me like what success looks like. What are your goals? When you need it done by. And then I need you just to leave me the hell alone and let me do my work and eliminate any red tape. And if I have a question, just answer it for me. And then I need to go back to what I do. He's like, I can do that. And that's why for the last almost 8 years, him and I have had such a great relationship and he trusts me, right? I'm highly independent, but he also knows I can do my job. I just want to be left alone. I don't like red tape. I have no problem collaborating with people. I have no problem giving people my work to review and give feedback and make sure it's right. But I ultimately just don't want people that don't know what they're doing telling me what to do and then being the person doing it, right? So independence, it's like, well, I want to be independent. Great. What does independent look like for you in your business? Describe a day for you. And what do you think being independent on a team looks like being versus being independent on your own? And where could you see the concerns of confinement for independence? You see how clear we're making that? And look, in the end, if the things don't align, they're not a good fit. Don't fall in love with potential. Oh, they're going to be great. No, if they're not great already, odds are it's because they have bad habits. You know, you ever meet those people? I'll do anything. I'll work 24/7. And they're the first people out of the office. You ask them to do an open house, am I getting paid for this? No, I'm going to pay you so you can get business. Just sit home. But this, you have to be firm, right? For rejected candidates, you send them email. For a good fit, schedule in person, and you'll use the structured email templates for clarity. Can't you all, I hope you guys are all seeing how like simple this process is, right? It's not hard. Clarity is important, and the process of building all the things up to this point is important. So you ensure timely communication, focus on the candidate's values, not just their skills, right? And always ask them the questions. What do you feel your greatest contribution to the team and the people on it would be? And if they're like, well, I thought I was joining the team. Like, what can the team do for me? See you later. Follow our process 100% of the time, and you will not have issues. So review the questionnaire, edit the stuff. It's an editable Guru's form, and practice. And see, we still have plenty of time for questions.
And you have a copy of that application that you
Yeah,
recommend?
we'll upload, they'll all
Okay.
get uploaded with the resources. Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up and just show you guys real quick.
Yeah.
Here we go. I think this is the right one, but you'll see my surprise with me. Here it is. First name, last name, how many years in the business, gross commission, primary experience, neighborhoods. Have you worked on a team before? Culture and work style. Look, in real estate, we often have to deliver bad news to our clients. Select the option that best represents your approach. I avoid telling them to the last minute and apologize as many times as they need to. These are different ones, right? Has there been a time where something important needed to get done, but it did not get done? So how did you feel? Right? You want this one. I always get my work done, but if this happened, I would feel guilty. That's the answer, right? How likely are you to do a task that may benefit another person, even if it costs you? You'll see collaboration here, right? As an agent, what do you feel the critical skills is that you possess that's made you successful? I'd be really interested to know this one, right? So you go through there, there's just questions, right? Lastly, select the 3 most important things you consider when joining a new team. Now, if these don't align with what your core value proposition is, and after interviewing and collaborating with your team members, like what they're getting the most out of the team, it doesn't work.
I used to believe that one of my greatest talents was figuring out who was going to be a superstar in this business without doing all this stuff. And I was wrong, of course.
Yep.
I was
So-
going to ask how that worked out for you, Nelson.
It didn't. Yeah, well, it's worked out a few times, but it's not worked out many more.
Questions? Look, if you get stuck, you can use ChatGPT as your thought partner, right? I keep going to this because it's literally a place that you can go for anything. Just hit the voice feature and start talking to it. But learn these processes. If you see over the last 7 weeks, we've taught you a different way to think about things. We started giving you processes. We've given you a way to identify candidates, your right avatar, understanding how they align in the interview process. This is an entire system on growing a team the right way. I can raise my hand. Have you ever hired bad agents? Hell yeah, I've hired bad agents. I've hired some horrible people. Man, I've fallen in love with people's potentials more times than you can humanly imagine.
Yeah.
And that's why you can't personally get attached to these people from the moment they walk in the door. And you have to make a decision one day. Are you a place where people figured it out, or do you want newborn children and help bathe them, feed them, and do all the things that parents do for little babies? They can't do anything themselves, because that's how some of these new agents act. It's like you have a brain, like take some initiative, right? And today, Nelson, compared to 15 years ago, there's so much information available online. So remember all those years ago where people said, oh, the only reason people don't do well or aren't smarter because there's not enough access to information that's equal for everybody? That guy was really wrong. Really, really wrong. So if any of you don't have comments, Robin, have people been attending your session?
No. No, we've had a rough go with it. So
What happened?
just doesn't seem to be a good time, and it's really hard with the time difference between everyone. So I think 2 weeks ago it was just 2 of us, and then last week no one. So it's just tough. Tough
I'm
to
really
find.
sorry about that. Yeah, it's hard to squeeze one more thing in.
Yeah, no, I
I've
hear
al-
you.
I've always
Absolutely.
wanted to join it, and then of course there's
So,
something else.
I think the easiest thing would be is just for me to leave so you can have your own thing, and for you guys to have the session right after this session, because you're already here. Does that work for everybody?
I can't today. We're doing a sales manager training thing at 11, but
We'll do it starting next week. We'll do the session after. Is that John, Gary, Yvette?
Yeah, that works
We-
for me.
Yep.
Perfect. We'll send an email
Sounds
out.
better.
Remind everyone, and Robin will be the host, and then you guys will start having, you guys can vent and share and learn and be like, oh my God, I guarantee you the first time you do this, everyone will silently go home and be like, I'm not alone. It's not just me, right? Nelson, these challenges go across every market and every person. Nobody is omitted. So, all right, guys, love my heart. Love you all. Thank you so much. Make sure you at least, the very least, before this month is done, write down your value proposition and follow the template. All right?
thank you.
Yep.
Welcome. Bye.
Thanks. Bye,
Bye.
guys.